Good morning, everybody. This is Michelle Gibson with Bob Rewards Club. I am coming to you right now to replay a broadcast that was last night that I knew nothing about with CEPTV networks in Ada Zane. So, if you could please leave your comments about this video. We are going to be streaming it live from our three channels on Twitter, YouTube, and on Facebook. Please share, please like, and please support our Bob members, CEP TV networks.
What's saying y'all on this? At least I'm trying. I'm really just speaking from my heart.
Yeah. Big sacrifice, I pulled out a deal with my head, thinking about my friends, I ain't got many. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometimes. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I got a real question in my mind. How you switch up on your dog, you niggas tripping. I'm trying to stand my paper so high. You gotta climb up a ladder just to finish. Super high, super high. I'm rolling under pressure with the pain. Take the stress off my chest, can you feel me? Super high. Now I just wanna travel all the world, tired of living out my dreams in my city. Bro, we gonna be on. I've been making sacrifices day to day. Yeah, bitch, you know I'm on a mission. Come on. I pulled out a deal with my hand, thinking about my friends, ain't got it. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel it. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I gotta sacrifice. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I gotta sacrifice.
Equip with Osama, one honor. I get the dodo, I got it, alright. I ain't new to the drama. I come from the jungle, I stood on the bullshit. Then we go to London. I be fresh off the block when I step on the block. I play my game different, it's just how I roll. Gotta make a way out of no way. Then I'm a rider, I'm cut from that rider.
I pulled out a deal with my hand, thinking about my friends, ain't got business. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel it.
Yeah.
I remember I got around with my daughter, man.
What's saying y'all on this? At least I'm trying. But I'm really just speaking from my heart.
Yeah. Big sacrifice, I pulled out a deal with my hand, thinking about my friends, ain't got many. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometimes. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I got a real question in my mind. How you switch up on your dog, you niggas tripping. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up a ladder just to feel it. Super high, super high. I'm rolling under pressure with the pain. Take the stress off my chest, can you feel me? Super high. Now I just wanna travel all the world, tired of living out my dreams in my city. Bro, we gonna be on. I've been making sacrifices daily. Yeah, bitch, you know I'm on a mission. Come on. I pulled out a deal with my hand, thinking about my friends, ain't got business. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel me. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got to sacrifice. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got to sacrifice.
Equip with Osama, doing Wahama. I tweet it, Dodo, I got it, alright. I ain't new to the drama. I come from the jungle. I scoop on the bullshit. Then wake up to long. I be fresh off the block when I step on the block. I play my game different. It's just how I roll. Gotta make a way out of no way. That's how I'm a router. I'm cut from that bridle.
I pulled out the pen with my hand, thinking about my friends. I ain't got business. Calculating every dollar I be spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime when life is so the work is spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel it.
Yeah. I remember I came around with my daughter.
The same y'all on them. At least on the tracks. I'm really just speaking from my heart.
Yeah. Make sacrifice,
I pulled out a pen with my hand, thinking about my friends. I ain't got many. Calculating every dollar I be spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime when things show the work keeps spinning. I got a real question in my mind, how you switch up on your thoughts, you niggas tripping. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel it. Super high. I'm rolling under pressure with the pain, taking stress on my chest, can you feel me? Super high. Now I just wanna travel around the world, tired of living out my dreams in my city.
Bro, we gonna be on.
I've been making sacrifices daily, yeah, bitch, you know I'm on a mission.
Come on.
I pulled out a pen with my hand, thinking about my friends, I ain't got business. Calculating every dollar I be spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime when life is so the work is spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel me. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got to sacrifice. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got to sacrifice.
Equip with Osama, doing Wahama. I tweet it, Dodo, I got it, alright. I ain't new to the drama. I come from the jungle. I scoop on the bullshit. Then wake up to long. I be fresh off the block when I step on the block. I play my game different. It's just how I roll. Gotta make a way out of no way. That's how I'm a router. I'm cut from that bridle.
I pulled out the pen with my hand, thinking about my friends. I ain't got business. Calculating every dollar I be spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be up and I be down sometime when life is so the work is spinning. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel me.
Yeah. I remember I came around with my daughter.
The same y'all on them. At least on the tracks. I'm really just speaking from my heart.
Yeah. Make sacrifice,
I pulled out a pen with my hand, thinking about my friends. I ain't got many. Calculating every dollar I be spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it.
Hold on. We lost. Sorry about that. Lost our connection there for a minute. Little glitch.
How you switch up on your thoughts, you niggas tripping. I'm trying to stand my paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel it. Super high. I'm rolling under pressure with the pain, taking stress on my chest, can you feel me? Super high. Now I just wanna travel around the world, tired of living out my dreams in my city.
Bro, we gonna be on.
I've been making sacrifices daily, yeah, bitch, you know I'm on a mission.
Come on.
I pulled out the pen with my hand, thinking about my friends, ain't got business. Calculate every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I'll be up and I'll be down sometime one night to show the world these feelings. I'm trying to stand my favor so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel me.
Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I gotta sacrifice.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Thursday night edition of CEPTV Late Night Hype. You all know who it is. It's LaShawn, the boisterous, your hostess, and very excited to be with you tonight. We are hanging out here in the Golden Crown Media Studios tonight, and we definitely want to welcome you. If you were here with us last month, you got to see the Just Us League. Here we had in the studio Johnny Savory and Peter Brown of the street groomers, and they talked to us about law, a lot of things that have to do with some cases, current cases that are controversial cases that are going on in our local area and also across the nation. So if you did not get to see that episode, make sure you tune in. You can go back in our archives on YouTube or also the Facebook link. If you continue to hang out with us tonight, you will meet my beautiful guest tonight, Zane Williams, who is a political moderator, human rights advocate, immigration's educational developer, and restaurateur, a restaurant owner. And boy, does she have quite the story to tell. So make sure you hang out with us tonight. And we have our new video highlight tonight with Chris Crane, who will be serenading us with Madam Queen, and also Bring Back Our Children by media aggregator Tawanda Graves, who is a CEPTV affiliate. So a lot of the missing children who go unpublished on the Amber Alert, because we don't qualify for the Amber Alert, we have our own system that we are developing, and independent Black media, you all need to tap into this. So you will see Bring Back Our Children tonight, and also episode 72 of N-Word News, where you'll find out who's hiring and info about different Black businesses created by the owners of the Ignorant Noodle. So thank y'all for sending those submissions in to us. And at this time, if you are watching us on social media, we need you to share the live. So if you are new to the CEP TV family, welcome. Make sure you hit that share button. The more the merrier. And shout out to all of our sponsors, especially Golden Crown Studios. Without Kevin here, this would not be happening. So thank you. Your magazine is also a partner with us. All of our guests who appear on CEPTV will be featured in your magazine at some point. So be looking out for that. The last issue we had dropped in August. So you can go online to check out that latest episode. Issue. So again, shout out to Champion Promotions, Shang Sum Lu, and my Lulu Bell. She know who she is, and I'm sure she's watching tonight. Golden Crown Studios is also here at your service for your next photo or video session. Leave a message in the comments, and we'll get back to you if you're interested in that. And also, if you would like to be a sponsor or be a guest on the show, you can contact me at CEPTV2019@gmail.com, or you can also leave a message in the comments and we'll get back with you. Upcoming events. So we're grown in here tonight, right? So you guys know we have the Fuck Who's Next I Am Now music series. It's going to be a huge event happening in Columbus, Georgia. You're going to see performances by Fabo, Von T, Moleg, and so many more wonderful local artists and artists around the region are going to be coming all the way to Columbus, Georgia at the Moon Room. So make sure you tap in. It's going to be $25 for tickets in advance, but if you wait until the day of, you're going to have to pay $40 at the door. So you can contact Miss 10 Carrot, Miss Chevius Lee, and I believe Chiang Sum Lu, Champion Promotions, has tickets for that as well. So make sure you tap into that. CEPTV Beat Breaks will be September the 25th. Also will be showcasing Von T's new video, and that is National Peace Day, Take Me Away, which is a tribute to Nipsey Hussle. October the 26th, I want you guys to meet me in Wilmington, North Carolina, as we celebrate the man who started it all, Robert Johnson. And if you don't know who he is to the music culture we have, then you don't know music. Robert Johnson is practically the founder of the music that we have today. So we'll be paying tribute to him in a music festival and also a movie premiere that talks about his life and his legacy. See Black on Broadway is November the 27th. That takes place in Columbus, Georgia. And also November the 27th in Atlanta is going to be the Black Only Award. So you're going to have to pick and choose which event you do that day. So that's pretty much it, guys. So if you have a news topic or something that you want to be shouted out on CEPTV, make sure you get with me, CEPTVnetworks@gmail.com. And if you're interested in submitting your film and other digital creative content to CEPTV, you can also reach out as well. We're going to cut to our first commercial break, and then when we come back, we will be talking to the beautiful Ada Zane. And again, such a wonderful story she has. Can't wait, and we'll see you after.
Join the movement with the BOB, Black-Owned Business Rewards Club. Enjoy a free directory listing or go for a more catered experience by signing up for our performance-based data generation with direct marketing. Choose from business to business, business to consumer, or even utilize your BOB membership for fundraising efforts. If you are not sure which route is best, we can give you a consultation and a 30-day free trial on select services. Membership fees for BOB Rewards are $10 a year for the consumer and $25 a year for the business owner or entrepreneur. Enjoy discounts, social media advertising, the ability to showcase and sell your products at trade shows, and much, much more. At the BOB Rewards Club, we are working hard to bring you more benefits. Head on over to bobrewards.club or type in BOB Rewards on social media and sign up today.
It was the early 90s in the deep south. Started my first day of high school.
Hey man, I think you're in a different class.
Okay, my bad.
Technology, man. Technology has come so far. We are in the future. y'all must have a death witch watching some kind of porn in front of me. I whoop both y'all's asses.
Dad, I'm sorry. Dad,
watching this stuff.
This is not
You ain't too grown for it.
Wait,
The
no,
movie.
he made me read it. This is his fault.
Now you gotta draw 12 cards now, my ninja. My bad. I'm drawing 12 cards.
I don't want folks in the hood knowing I got both parents. Hey, boys. Want to taste my cocktail Wheaties? I have a new restaurant, and the best appetizer is my cocktail Wheaties. Who are you? I'm James' father, your schoolmate, James. Right here with the glasses on.
We are never riding with my dad ever again.
I saw the purple gang down the street. I don't feel like getting robbed today. What are you doing? I'm a good person. I sing to children. I love you. What the f*** are you doing? You guys! You!
Love it.
Yeah. I remember I used to go around with my daughter. I was saying to y'all on this, at least on the tracks. But I'm really just speaking from my heart. Yeah. Big sacrifice, you know. I pulled out a deal with my head, thinking about my friends. I ain't got many. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch. You know I'm trying to get it. I be down sometimes. One thing to show the world keeps spinning. I got a real question in my mind. How you switch up on your thoughts, you niggas tripping. I'm trying to stand my paper so high. You gotta climb up a ladder just to finish. Super hot. I'm rolling under pressure with the pain. Take the stress on my chest. Can you feel me? Super hot. Now I just wanna travel all the world, tired of living out my dreams in my city. Bro, we gonna be on. I've been making sacrifices daily. Hell yeah, bitch, you know I'm on a mission. Come on. I pulled out a deal with my head, thinking about my friends. I ain't got it. Calculating every dollar I've been spending on my grind, bitch, you know I'm trying to get it. I be down sometime. One thing to show the world these feelings. I'm trying to stand up paper so high, you gotta climb up the ladder just to feel me.
sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got sacrifice. Sacrifice. Every time I turn around, I see I got sacrifice. Equipped with those armor, doing what honor. Life in the dodo, I got it, I'm riding. I ain't new to the drama, I come from the jungle. I screw on the bullshit, then wake up to come down.
And thank you so much for chiming back in with us. We are live here on CEPTV Late Night Hype. I am your hostess, LaShawn the Boisterous, and I have my beautiful guest here today, Ada Zane Williams, with a wonderful story to tell. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and give the rundown about who she is, and then we'll get into some questions.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much, LaShawn. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Lovely set. I'm just sort of looking at all the graphics. Looks really nice. So my name is Ada Zane from Marietta, Georgia, born and raised. Haven't lived in Marietta my whole life, so I'm not a lifer. So I've lived in Detroit for several years, in Tennessee. However, my life sort of started a little different than most. I understood very early in my childhood that my brain just learned differently. So it was a little bit more challenging. So, we had challenges growing up. We had, some really rough spots where, coupled with a learning disability and struggling financially, it sort of coupled together to almost create a perfect storm of low self-esteem, in a young girl. So, with that being said, I had to find ways to make myself feel special. So one of the things that I actually did really well is I could run really fast. We moved, to a lot of different neighborhoods. And so kids would tend to want to pick on you a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to slap you, but you're not going to be able to catch me. I know that. I don't care if you was a boy or a girl, I'm going to outrun you. So, I just sort of learned, that I had other special unique qualities. However, still, when you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, it's just, it began to really display itself, the challenges on how to learn. And then I think the worst part was I really had to come to the realization my brain just doesn't learn like everybody else's. I couldn't follow a 2-3 step process to save my life, so once I graduated high school, which I barely graduated, the score I got on my SAT was for getting my name right. Wow. And I found that out through my college administrator. And she sort of, said it very loud because she has a big mouth in front of a room full of people. So that was, very humiliating. And, then again, flunking out of college right away because, my reading skills were just very, very poor, more of an elementary school level. And my writing skills were even worse, and my speaking skills was even worse than that. So, make a long story short, when I was 22 years old, I got pregnant with my first child, my daughter, and we lived in a rat-infested home, and I would have to kick the dresser to get the pellets off my clothes to put it on to go to work. So it was really hard. And I remember when I was 4 months pregnant, I sat on this dilapidated porch. And I made a decision, and I remember putting my hand on my belly. And I told my daughter, I said, I may not be able to give you the things that I didn't have, but you're going to know every single thing that I didn't know. You'll never know what it feels like to be dumb, because that's how I, saw myself. So with that being said, I had to learn how to read. So I just started grabbing 5th grade, 8th grade books and just read. So I understood phonics. I could read words, but my comprehension was almost nil. So I couldn't retain information. So I had to learn how my brain learned. And that's what sort of helped take me on the journey to where I am today. But it was mainly just, I was reading 25 to 50 books a day. Once I felt like this spark go off in my mind, like, okay, well, this is interesting. Okay, well, I like this author. Let me try this. I'm gonna read every book this author wrote. And, then I'll look in the back of the book. I'm like, oh, he got information from these books. I'm gonna read all the books that this author read. So my mind is just like fireworks was going off. All these connections was happening in my mind, and I couldn't stop reading. So the more I read, the more I could speak, the more I could write. So my daughter, while I am, teaching her, I'm teaching myself as well. So it was sort of going hand in hand. And at that time, I really didn't feel any shame because nobody really knew. I was in Detroit at the time, so I was sort of away from the family, so I didn't sort of let on, hey, I'm teaching myself how to read. So,
Right.
you don't just sort of announce that, but, that's what I did. And eventually when I homeschooled for about 7 years, when I realized I kept the promise that I kept to my daughters, like, you're going to know everything that I didn't know, which means when I put her in public school, I saw that the pace that they went, I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. Ain't nobody going to hold her back.
Right.
If it's anybody going to hold her back, it's going to be me. It's not going to be you. It's my responsibility.
Right.
I always took that as my responsibility. So I decided to, homeschool, take her out of the third grade, homeschool her for several years. And I remember the first day I took her out, and I'm like, oh, what'd you just do? All this confidence, where is it now? But, I took on the challenge, and it was tough, because then when she really started to pick up on her math, I was like, okay, well,
whole nother challenge.
yeah, now I have to teach myself this before I teach her. So they both worked hand in hand. And once I reached the age of 35, I had enough confidence. I'm like, I want to go back to school, but I want to find the most difficult degree that I could find.
Nice.
And in my area, it was neuroscience.
Okay.
I wanted the psychology and the mind. So I wanted to understand how they both work together.
Nice.
So I went back to school, and I did really well. And from there, things just sort of took off.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up writing your own textbooks.
Yes.
And that was for your daughter.
Yes. Well, it wasn't for my daughter. So this is sort of how that happened. I'm gonna go back a little bit, because I don't want to skip sort of over this part. So I ended up getting divorced after 18 years, and I met my new husband, who was 100% entrepreneurs. But I liked his drive. I liked how people, wanted to learn from him and do business with him. And so I saw how he moved, and I saw how people were dependent on him. I'm like, teach me business. I want to know how to do that. And so, I got my real estate license and started there.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of walked me through everything until I sort of learned how to do it on my own. And during that time, that's where the opportunity came with the immigration.
Okay.
And I'll explain sort of how that happened. So his best friend owns a cleaning company with Atlanta Public Schools, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a lot of documented and undocumented workers. But the documented workers were having a really hard time getting their paperwork done for their immigration applications. So they asked, mainly because they couldn't afford at a janitorial salary, and their educational levels were, definitely a lot lower, and economically, they really struggled. So an immigration attorney was sort of out of the question for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to me and asked, can you figure out a way to help them? I was still in school for my neuroscience degree. I had no clue of what immigration was outside of the definition. And so initially I was like, I don't do it. I don't know anything about it. I'm not trying to even go in that direction. So I fought it for like a few months, but my husband was like, no, can you please look into it? I got a feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he said that, it just sort of struck me here. I felt it when he said it. So I was like, okay, well, let me just look into it. So I'm a reader. So that's how I learned, So immediately I knew, okay, if you don't know something, get a book,
Right.
Get a bunch of books.
Exactly.
And so I go looking for books on Amazon, and I'm like, And I had never experienced this before. If I've ever wanted to learn something, I go find all the books I can on it. I couldn't find one.
Interesting.
And so I was like, how is that possible? And I was like, okay, well, let me look Barnes and Noble. I'm looking everywhere, Books A Million. I'm like, now this is, and then I really started to pull back, like, okay, this is actually terrifying. There's nowhere to buy a training manual to teach yourself how to do these things. I'm like, okay, well, that's strange. I've never had that.
So somebody's cornered the market.
Somebody's cornered not cornered the market. The market didn't exist.
Oh, wow.
It didn't exist. So once I spent months trying to find it, I'm like, I have never not been able to find something to teach me how to do anything. So it struck me as odd. And so then I came across this term, licensed immigration consultants. I was like, oh, okay, so it's actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the state of Georgia has it. You can become a licensed immigration consultant. So I was like, well, good. I called the Secretary of State the next day, asked them, I said, how do I get my license? They told me, and I said, well, how do I train myself how to do these? I said, because if you ever looked at immigration application instructions, it's not in layman's terms. It's very technical. I feel like I feel like I'm extraordinarily brilliant, but even when I looked at it, I'm like, I have no idea what this means. The terminology.
So it was written in the language of the law, kind of like law, like
very much so. Not for everyday people, but everyday attorneys. They can understand it, but it's not for everyday people. And some of the application could run from 5 pages to 50 pages of application. The instructions could run even longer. So I was like, so I asked her, the lady, the Secretary of State, I said, so how do I train myself? Because if I get something wrong, I could potentially have somebody kicked out of this country, worst case scenario, or I could get myself, sued. So her answer to me was, you're on your own.
Wow.
Because it doesn't exist. So at that point, that's when I really felt it. During this time, this is when Trump was in office and when he made his big announcement that, he's, really going to crack down hard on immigration because they're coming here to steal, rape our women, kill, that whole speech. And I, in that process, I had to place myself in the mind of an immigrant. So in order to understand and how to walk into their shoes, I had to become them. I had to be afraid every day. I had to have in my mind, I have undocumented relatives. I'm afraid for them, so I had to put myself in their shoes to figure out, what do they need? How can I help? If I were to do a thing, what would it be? And so what I decided to do was, what I saw was, which is really, really interesting. If there's no education, then there's no industry. Education is the foundation of every industry. Absolutely. The industry that you're in, the industry, real estate industry, there's education. You go to school, you learn all the different levels. You can get a professional training, just become a realtor, or you can go to college and become, so there's all different types of levels for industries, but there's not a single one for immigration. There's 47 million immigrants in the country and hundreds of millions come each year. So I had to make a decision when I said, oh, there's no training materials at all, not a single book on the market. I said, so what would you do? And in a perfect world, I said, Val, if finances and resources was not the issue, what would you do? I said, I would build an entire curriculum. So that's what I did. I remember I was in a 2-bedroom apartment. I was fresh out of a divorce, maybe a year or so out of divorce. And so I started writing. So I said, what I would want a licensed consultant to know before they sit down and talk with the immigrant, because you have to understand, immigrants come here for several reasons. Push, meaning maybe economic, war, famine, or for whatever reason where they can't go back to their country, a political uprising. So going back home is dangerous. It could mean death. That's how serious a level this is. Or someone wants to generally come here for an opportunity, a better opportunity for their family. Maybe they wanted to get away from the harsh customs of their country. Maybe they don't want their daughter to be married off, or, to an older man. Maybe they wanted their children to have a better opportunity. So you have to realize, so for them, for some people, it's that heavy. It's that serious. So what would I want people to know before they sit in front of an immigrant family? Well, first, I want them to know the history of immigration, the psychology of immigration, the U.S. economics, how immigrants bring value. And that's the biggest thing, because a lot of things that we heard through the media during that time was, they're stealing our jobs.
True. Yeah.
So interesting. So how would they dispute something that they've heard on the media if there's not even a single book to teach you on it? So that's why ignorance can abound, because there's nothing to challenge it, not a single thing. So in my first textbook I wrote, is for the licensed immigration consultant. I wrote that, there's a chapter about the history of immigration, so we can see how, the U.S., we'll get an influx of immigrants, but we'll steady out, and the country would just keep improving. So we can prove that over time, immigrants do bring value to the country. Absolutely. The U.S. economics, the value that they bring, because when they come here on their green cards or visas, they can't get on food stamps, or they can't get on public assistance, so they have to work. And a lot of times they're picked over America, so they're getting the lesser jobs, which means they have to work more hours. They have to work multiple jobs. So So for them, they're coming to work their butts off, and they're coming to get an education because it doesn't matter if they were a doctor here, they're not going to be a doctor here. You know,
Right.
in their country, when you come here, you're pushing lawnmowers because you're starting, you know, base level,
Absolutely.
ground level. So they're coming here to work their butts off. So what I wanted to show is how the type of value that they bring to the U.S. economy, bringing up, you know, small businesses, because small businesses, you can't hire, you know, someone, you know, day one from $15 an hour. You're bringing them in at maybe $7, you know, $8 an hour, because that's all some small businesses can afford to start. So that's some value that they bring. And even the statistics of immigration, the rules and regulations, roles, responsibilities. So I really just sort of put an array and just sort of built this foundation so that people understand what the value of what immigrants bring. And I also wrote a textbook on green card, you know, how to do green card renewals, green cards, U.S. citizenships. So I'm writing textbooks on every immigration application, and there's hundreds of them.
Oh, wow.
So now we're providing a pathway so that people that can't afford attorneys, you know, can get
Pro se.
Absolutely. And I also developed a software which will simplify the immigration application process, like a TurboTax.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which simplifies it, which reduces the amount of errors that a consultant would have, just like, you know, same as TurboTax. So the most important thing that I wanted to develop at a base level was where immigrants, what I created stands in between the government and immigration attorneys. So now we can provide fair and affordable immigration application services. So I'm not sure how old you are, but have you ever seen sort of like a branded immigration consultant firm, like an H&R Block, where an immigrant just walk in? You know, we've never seen that.
Right.
And why? You know, so now they can afford services that are a fraction of what
an attorney.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, if you had to go fill out a single application, they say, okay, well, this application is $15,000.
Right.
You know, for most Americans, that's extraordinary.
Right.
It's like, you know, be prepared to purchase a car,
Exactly.
you know, to do this application. And for some people, they can't do that based on their academic level, their economic level. They can't afford that, you know, those type of fees for non-legal services. So now we can start open. Oh, I forgot to mention, for every textbook, I have a teacher's manual that goes with each one. So now we can open schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now we can
open. That's a lot. Like, that's a whole, you are setting a standard for, you're doing something that's never been done.
It's never been done.
Literally.
It's never been done. And now here's the powerful part. So now that I've created a platform where we can start schools for immigration consultants, just like for realtors or, you know, estheticians, you know, now we have one for immigration consultants to provide this fair and affordable, you know, services. So once I, you know, completed enough of my work where I was able to test the waters, I held a seminar. I had 150 seats. Within 7 days, every seat was gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Immigrants, Americans, licensed immigration consultants were there. Officers from the immigration services were there as well. So a few things happened that changed everything, the whole trajectory. It changed everything. So I asked some of the consultants and the immigration officer, I said, well, how did you learn how to do these applications? I already knew where they were getting their information. I said, so how did you guys learn how to do these applications? And they answered, Google. Every one of them. And that's terrifying. For one piece of information, they had to go to 4 or 5 different sites, because all the sites, some of the sites were old, some were new. But they said, we don't know why this exists. Now, here's the other thing that changed everything. So immigrants that were in the room, I was showing a video on what immigrants bring, the value that they bring, how hard they had to work, or the sacrifices that their families had to make, their parents had to make. When I say probably 30-40% of the people in the room had to walk out because they're in tears.
Oh, wow.
I mean, out of breath tears. The children were laying on the mom's laps crying. These people are absolutely in, I can't even say, I would say anguish. Let me tell you why it's anguish. Because when I hear the stories, and this is what prompted me to have the Immigrant Stories Town Hall, when you hear the stories where this one lady from Nigeria, she had to walk over hacked bodies to run for her life. So for her, it's sheer death going back. Or I just sat down with a family. The father was from Iran.
And this is the one you recently posted.
The recent,
Yeah.
yeah. He's from Iran. His wife is from Colombia. His father was arrested because he wouldn't convert to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was tortured for months. And they said if you convert, he could, he could get all these things back, his home, his job. But of course, he didn't convert. And so they tortured him. And they took all of his things, and the family was living in the streets. So when you hear stories where people had to come from, now these people are fighting a fight to be an American. So you almost look at them as heroes because they're actually fighting with everything they have to be here. We're here. We cut up if we want to.
Exactly.
If we don't get our rights, we won't protest. But for them, it's they have to fight with everything that's in them. And a lot of times, even when they come here on asylum, because both him and his wife came here on asylum paperwork, and so they're told you can never, ever go home.
Wow.
You cannot see your parents. You cannot see your brothers and sisters, your aunts. All that's over. That's done. So they had that, and they're young. They were 17, 18
No
years old.
way.
And so they're here alone, and they can't even speak English. And so they're trying to find a job. And it's really interesting. This particular couple, he spoke Arabic. She spoke Spanish. So they had to use images to speak to each other, but they fell in love with each other. And they, learned how to, and it was a long story. We're going to be having that town hall soon, but they're going to share their story, how they made it, because she was under deportation for 4 years. So now I want you to imagine the level of fear that they have. I could be deported. I could be ripped from my family, from my daughter, from everything that I know, to go back to a country where I could be killed. I had a girl from Venezuela. While she was going through she came here undocumented. She's a citizen now, but when she was getting married, they put her into a separate room. And of course, she understood, and they understood, if you fail this, you're going out of here in handcuffs.
Right.
There's no reason for you to be here.
Wow.
So those are the risks that they take to be here. So that's why it's so important to have these stories so that, Americans can hear it, because it is absolutely powerful. One girl came here, somebody stole her money and she couldn't get back home, and she overstayed her visa. So she's living on the streets of Baltimore trying to find her way, and she's alone. She can't, call her family because they were in a poorer country. So I'm hearing all these stories, and I'm like, it hurts you. I'll tell you this last story. This one girl from Bangladesh, her father didn't speak good English, so she was in elementary school. She had to stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. She's telling me this in absolute tears. She said, Valerie, there's no place for us to go. She said, my family couldn't afford an attorney. So I had to stay up and help my dad teach him the civics class, help him do the application. She said, we didn't know what to do. He had to work 60 hours a week because we couldn't get on food stamps. She said, there's no place for us to go. She said, I don't know why this doesn't exist. And it's not the fact that, it's some conspiracy. It just doesn't exist. We're in a time where we're at the creation of an entire industry, which is absolutely powerful. And what it does, it brings so much relief, to these families that are when I say anguish, those thoughts, of your father being tortured and not being able to see him. You can't go back home. The couple that I spoke with yesterday, they saw their family. He came here as an 18-year-old. He didn't see his father again. That took this 4-hour bus ride to get him to Turkey. That was the last time he saw him as a 17-year-old. He saw him 12 years later. And the wife from Colombia saw her family. Once she became a citizen, then she could go back home. It's 14 years later.
Wow.
14 years later, she came here as an 18-year-old, so just stripped. Now you imagine yourself, you're plucked from everything you know as an 18-year-old to a country where you can't even speak the language. You don't know where you are, but you're expected to figure it out.
Exactly.
You're expected to survive. And you're expected to make sure you get your paperwork right, no matter what, with no one that works with you, sort of hand in hand, like I'm a realtor. So, I don't just help people buy, sell, and invest in homes. I'm talking about credit, I'm talking about insurance, I'm going through the whole process. And I work with my clients for years, especially, hey, I'm thinking about selling, or what's going on with the taxes, so I get calls about everything. The same way immigrants should be able to go to a consultant and say, hey, I don't know how to get a job. I don't know how to speak English. Where do I go? How do I get a car? How do I get insurance? Can I get a tag? So these things they have to learn from scratch, and they have to learn it fast while learning English, while trying to pay for a place to stay, and while dealing with the pain of, where's my mom? Where's my dad? I miss my brother and sister. So these are the things that they carry with them. And I really felt it yesterday when I was speaking with the family. They brought their whole community with them.
Oh, wow.
I was expecting them two to come, but they brought their entire community with them because this was their first time sharing. So when I see them and when they look at you in that way, like, can you help? Or do you understand how hard it was for me? So you see their eyes, their emotion, and you see their tears. And I have not yet been able to get through an interview with an immigrant without tears. Never.
Oh, goodness.
Even the men, because it's anguish. And now they're coming together because they want to make it easy for people that want to come here, where it's where the human rights advocate part comes out in me, is at least fair and affordable application, at least that base level where they can go to a center and they can get that help, that one-on-one help. That way they're not afraid all the time.
Right. Now, these programs that you're creating, are you going to white label them, like where people can franchise out and
Absolutely. So I want to be more of a publisher.
Okay.
Where they can start their own immigration consultant firms. They can start their own schools. The schools is really the big thing that I want to push now, because I got to get the education out there. I even met with two professors from Kennesaw State University, and they looked at my curriculum, and their PhDs were actually in immigration. So I asked them, I said, have you guys ever taken a course in the history of immigration? They said, never heard of it.
Oh, wow.
I said, the psychology of immigration? I said, never heard of it. I said, the statistics, U.S. economics? They said, we never heard of it. They said, we can actually take this first book and create an immigration studies degree. And that is absolutely how bare the industry is.
My goodness.
It's powerful.
It is. Wow. That is. So for anyone who's been listening, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who may know someone or directly impacted, how can we get in touch with you to get those resources from you?
Okay, so I do have a website. It's called smartpathway.org. And even though I do have my curriculum and you can take the courses, I'm not ready yet to start releasing the curriculum, because the first thing I felt like, and it just really followed my instincts, is getting the and where the politicians came in. So, as a business owner, you think that you want to follow the same path. Okay, if you want to roll a business out, put your marketing plan together, go through the robots, robotic moves, everything that you're supposed to do, but it didn't feel right.
Okay.
So, because when you think about the immigrant community, a lot of times they're completely 100% taken advantage of, because Americans are taken advantage of. So how much more this community is taken advantage of. So you just don't come out and just say, hey, I have a solution, just buy this, and you buy that. No, you don't want to do that. What I want to do is just show, hold on a second, let's get the stories out. Let people tell you out of there, because I'm not an immigrant. I have no family history of immigration outside of coming here on a slave boat, which I don't know anything about, so that the whole African American story, but let them tell the story. Let them tell what's not out there. And so what I wanted to do is start bringing in politicians, and I would ask them one question: what is your immigration platform? Every single one said,
it doesn't exist.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
They don't have they don't have a platform, because in their mind they believe that it's just at a federal level. And so what I'm telling them, I'm like, no, if you want, and I hope this gets shared where someone that's running for office or that's already in office, they hear is, you cannot have immigration reform without a educational foundation.
Absolutely.
At a grassroots level. It doesn't happen in Congress.
Absolutely.
It happens down here.
Mhm.
The state has a license. I'm not trying to create a license. The license exists, but there's no training.
Right.
There's no immigration consultant firms where people can, just walk off the street and say, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. Someone just stole from me. I'm undocumented and I can't even report it. A girl on my show was sexually assaulted at school. Can't report it.
Mm.
There's no
Resources.
policies
Wow.
that protects them. So honestly, a little girl could be raped and can't do a single thing about it. And that rapist can go into the community and rape an American citizen. That could have been stopped if the immigrant could have said, "This person hurt me." And they can't do that because whether she was born here, her parents weren't.
Right.
Or maybe the uncle or aunt or grandmother
Mhm.
is undocumented. They can't have ICE snooping around their community.
Absolutely.
So they try to handle it the best way they can and heal the child within their own community, but it allows a criminal
to go loose.
Just like that.
Mhm.
With and there's no policies at a state level that protects immigrants from even being taken advantage of. Let's say something was stolen from them, or something, their home was vandalized.
Mhm.
You can't do a single thing.
It happens a lot in California, like the Mexicans come across and they set up little communities and people do all kinds of things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what are they going to do? And then some Americans view it as, well, you're not supposed to be here anyway. It's powerful and it's hurtful, right? Because it makes it creates sort of this gesture,
right,
that you're less than human.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care. I don't care if a crime was committed against you. You're not supposed to be here. Those are human rights violations.
Right.
A human being should have protection over their body,
absolutely,
and over their personal property, and over their sense of security. At least that. Take those things away, and they feel like they're less than. Absolutely. And that's inappropriate. I feel like, and I'm reaching out to people within the Black community, Black leaders, especially civil rights leaders, to say, hey, this we've been pushing for civil rights for a long time for us. Right. Is there any room where we can extend it?
Right.
To these communities that are absolutely in pain, and the purpose of the immigrant stories is so that they can see it, so that they can see the tears, so that they can not just see it, they can feel it. They can see these, because I see them as heroes. I mean, you talk about, American heroes. What if you had to fight and lose everything for citizenship? Are we willing to do that? I know that there's plenty of us that go to war, and that's good. I'm not taking away from that, but for some immigrants, they've lost the ability to even see their mom or dad, or go back to their country, see their grandma or cousins. That's over.
Absolutely.
That's over for them. That life is over. And those things, you can't get that back.
Absolutely.
The one regret that one of the wives said that was on the show, she said, I can't get it back. No matter what I do. 14 years is just gone. I'll never get that time back with my parents. It's over. And when you hear it, it's like, we have to do better.
Absolutely. So you are definitely on the cusp of something so wonderful. And I love when I get a chance to interview people before they make it to the next level. And you're definitely going to that next level with this. Absolutely. And without a doubt. We are going to take another commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about Play Bistro and Desserts, and my hero, Juicy Pop.
You did not just say Juicy Pop.
He is my little online hero. Just every time I see his face come up, it just brightens my day.
That smile.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely want to talk about that. And yeah, so let's take a quick break, and we're going to be coming back with more Ada Zane Williams.
You make me feel like do say on a Sunday morning people ever need an ivory sweet melody in harmony. Sometimes I can be crazy, spreading my love all around. Yeah. You make me fall in love, yeah, every time you are around. Madam Queen, you're my world. Pretty eyes just drive me crazy. You're a star, yes you are. I'm gonna love you. Hey. I remember when I first let you in. No real intention, just really good friends. Baby. Something happened that changed my mind. Girl, you found your way in my heart to stay. Yeah. Sometimes I can be crazy, spreading my love all around. Yeah. You make me fall in love, yeah, every time you are around. Man, queen, you're my world. Those pretty eyes just drive me crazy. You're a star, yes you are. I'm gonna love you. Hey. Oh, I don't believe in fairy tales, but this one thing I am sure of. Oh, you were a ribbon in the sky, cross my heart until I die. Madam Queen, you're my world. Pretty eyes just drive me crazy. You're a star, yes you are. I'm gonna love you, yeah.
Wonderful. I love that song. We have got to get.
Hey there, my name is LaShawn Smith, and I want to introduce you to CEPTV, which stands for Creatives, Entrepreneurs, and Entertainers at Play TV. It's an online streaming video network. I'll be interviewing the best and brightest African American leaders in business, culture, and entertainment. We will explore their ideas, visions, and goals for the future. CEPTV will also produce and showcase original African American films, radio, podcasts, and streaming video shows while we feature their creators. We will tell their stories from their perspectives. Do you want to tell your story on CEPTV? Contact us today at www.mycep.tv.
And we are back. I hope that you liked or loved that video music spotlight, highlight music spotlight. Chris Crane. Chris Crane with Madam Queen. And yes, Facebook, we do have permission to play that, so you better not mute our video. No, but yes, so we are back with Ada Zane Williams, and there's so much to this woman. She has so much going on. If you didn't hear how I introduced her earlier, she has a political platform. What do you call that?
Political moderator.
Moderator. And then she also in Marietta, Georgia, has a restaurant / event center.
Yes.
So how did you get into that?
So it was a lot of factors that, sort of just the opportunity fell in my lap. I never wanted a restaurant, but the opportunity came. I took, okay, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
So it took me about a year to sort of, us to put it together, because I wanted something for the grown and sexy, for those that live sort of in the suburbs but don't want to go to Atlanta, to party with kids. We don't want to pay for the park. We want to go someplace nice, get dressed up, and have a good time. So the whole concept behind Play is, to have this sexy atmosphere. We have live Edgewood tables. We have the grass walls to try to bring the modern, contemporary feel, modern rustic, I'm sorry. And we have like crocodile, leather crocodile, turquoise seating,
Wow.
So it's really sexy. We have a large patio, where we have a giant Jenga, darts, a giant Connect Four, cornhole. So if you just want to go out and just have a good time on the patio, our patio is pretty huge, and we have like lounge furniture, so you could fit 100 people on our patio. So it's very
Nice.
soft, sexy sort of atmosphere. So we were scheduled to open in March of 2020, but the world had seemed to shut down.
Yeah.
Which was, devastating to me, because you put everything into it.
Right.
And so, but we end up opening right when the state opened. So we opened up our, first restaurant, during, the height of COVID. And we did really well. The concept picked up. The hardest part that I had was getting people to separate, and, because you want to try to, keep the 6 feet,
Right.
apart. And before, the state wouldn't allow maybe 6 people together. Well, it was 10. It was 6, and then it was 10, and then it was, you guys do whatever you want,
Right.
So it was an incredible venture, but the challenge came 3 days after we opened. So my husband was having heart problems. He had heart problems before, but within 3 days of us opening, he was in a coma.
Oh my God.
On a ventilator for almost an entire week and a half. He was in the hospital for a month, and I was just sort of left to run it and talk to the doctor. So it was hard. We almost lost him, but he's hung in there. He fought his way back, and now we're a year and a few months later. We were just doing better with events anyway, so we just decided to go ahead and transition, just to become a venue. It just made life easier, and it allowed me time to focus more on the immigration and to host the events there. And now that I've been able to generate attention from political leaders and candidates, we moved at the right time.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like everything is really falling into place. I have seen some slides about it. So everybody make sure you go to Play Bistro and Dessert. She has a Facebook page up with some pictures, and the way that you have it set up, sky's the limit with the decorations. You've done weddings there, and
absolutely.
What else have you done there?
So interesting enough, what fills up our schedule, I think our probably 60-70% of our schedule.
What?
Baby showers.
Okay.
The lockdown.
Oh yeah. Yes.
The lockdowns. So like every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday, we have a baby shower.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for business.
Where are these babies coming from?
The pandemic babies.
Right, another baby boom because of the shutdown. So within a few weeks of us transitioning from a restaurant just to events only, we were just getting booked up. So we're almost booked up through the rest of the year.
Awesome.
So it worked, and it was a good move, but it allows me to even do fundraisers for political candidates, meet and greets, and so it was a perfect move. Definitely a lot less stress.
I bet. I bet, because the inventory and
inventory,
Yeah.
employees,
Mhm.
Some, you always have a handful of difficult customers,
Right.
so you don't have
Yeah.
to deal with that anymore. I'm more of an entrepreneur. I like to build and create. I'm,
Right.
I'm not like a manager, want to work like that. I'll do it, if I have to.
Absolutely.
But I won't try to do that. That's too much.
Well, I'm happy to have met you. Like I said, I seen your profile one day. I don't know how. I ran
Mhm.
across your Facebook profile and I was like, there's something special about her. So I
Mhm.
started looking and I was like, okay, okay. And then, I have been watching you for a while and I was like, I gotta get her on the show because
Mhm.
you're just doing some amazing things. I love when people can just see that need and be able to fill it. And you are doing a phenomenal job. And I
I really
just really
appreciate
thank you
that.
for being a guest. And I hope that we can maybe work on some ventures in the future together.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And one thing that the venue gives me time to spend time with you, Spot.
Oh yeah. Yes, Juicy Pop. So I did say I was gonna ask about Juicy Pop. So her grandson is just so adorable and his face just lights up my life. She posts him little stuff that he does and just
Yes.
always smiling, a happy baby.
Happy. He turns 1 next
Oh
week.
my
So,
goodness.
he's my first grandson. He looks, in my opinion, he looks just like me.
He does. He does.
He looks just like me. And then to have a grandson, I have 3 boys and a girl. So to have a grandson, I was like, wow.
Yes, he
boys.
is your Irish twin.
Yeah.
Just born in a different timeline, but that is your twin.
He's just a happy baby. I mean, he has 1 tooth. So he's behind on, we're trying to break them gums,
Just adorable.
Yeah.
And what is his real name?
Juicy Pop. His name is Juicy Pop. No, I was kidding. His name is Milo Hayden Bahar. Yeah, so we call him Milo. Yeah.
AKA Juicy Pop. I love
he
it.
remains Juicy
He
Pop.
remains. And I thought that was so cute. Now, how did you come up with that?
I had a friend of mine, and he's an older guy, and at the end of every single one of his emails, he would, I remain, I'm going to say his name. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I remain Juicy Pop. Yeah. This, as an old soul.
Right.
If you sort of know him, he's sort of an old soul, but
Yes.
he has such a, just bright smile, so yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to tell the guests or our audience about what you do?
Absolutely.
Did we cover everything?
Yeah, we definitely covered everything. What I would want everyone that's listening to, if you know someone that's an immigrant, ask them their story, get them to share, if they're willing to share, however much they want to share, but also, let them know that there's someone that's working for them, that, cares about what they're going through, and that there's other immigrants that are coming out and sharing their stories as well. So there's a platform for them, to come out and be able to speak with political leaders, to let them know their concerns. Put immigration on your platform.
Absolutely.
Because just because you're an immigrant does not mean you're not a U.S. citizen. Most of the immigrants on my platform are U.S. citizens now. So don't tell me immigration is not a part of your platform, because they are citizens and they do vote.
Now, how many immigrants have you been able to help so far, or has it gotten to that point yet?
It hasn't got to that point yet. So now because we're just starting this process, it's getting people to come out and just sort of sharing what they didn't have, what they would like to have. And so we were trying to find that single stream where between, I don't care if they're from Bangladesh or Iran or, the Philippines, what they're all saying is we need this one thing. And so the more, diversity that we have saying, we just want this one thing, then politicians will start being able to create laws. And that's what we're trying to do.
So you're kind of lobbying a bit.
We're lobbying, instead of trying to market, let's change laws. Yeah, let's change laws. That way it protects people, and it's not about the profiting and all that. Yes, I am a business owner. However, quality comes when you care about people.
Absolutely.
It comes there first, and people feel it, and they will make sure that you do well if you put heart first. So
Right.
that's my marketing strategy. Put in the heart first.
Absolutely. And you are well on your way. So I just love it. We're going to take one last commercial break. And on this commercial break, you're going to get to see what Twanda Graves does behind the scenes as a media aggregator. She is the creator of Bring Back Our Children. And we'll also hear from Dre with N-Word News. And then we'll be right back for final closing.
Excellent show. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Born unable to crawl, taking my first step. Born unable to pull myself up, achieving my first dream. Born unable to make the sign of a voice, speaking my
So many special kids across the world can say you're hurting me. Can't you see it in my face? Don't pick me up to throw me down. I wanna talk, but there's no sound. When you hear me cry, don't shut me out. That's my way of saying you're hurting me.
Wanna lock yourself frequently, police brutality, abusing, we're using the authority amongst the majority of us minority. Must make opportunity to survive financially in this land they call.
We can talk, but we can't talk. We've got to fight and stand up for their rights. They can't talk, but we can. We've got to fight and stand up for their rights.
When you see the changes it can make in your life, you will feel the power from the joy that's inside.
It's time to change immunity to protect the one we need, to make them pay for what they've done. The power of authority. Special needs are being abused all across the land. Let's make a plan. No matter what the circumstance.
If you stand for their rights, the power of the fight, connect and join in hand, spread the word as we been.
And now on to the Young Iron Center. IB Studios is a content studio in Columbus. They provide space for creators to use for shoots and recording videos. If you need help with the brand, they also offer services like logo creation, t-shirt prints, and marketing advice or marketing assistance. So if you're a small business, small creator, get started in creating, hit them up to get a solid start. They've been building brands. They work with a lot of the other local talent in Columbus, so it's already a pretty decent network that they got built. So yeah, hit them up. Feel Good RBA is a Richmond, Virginia-based platform focused on mental health, self-love, artistry, eco-friendly efforts, and events. We do all sorts of cool community stuff and networking for businesses and creators in the Richmond area. If you live in that area, hit them up. They'll be part of the next event. They hosted, I think, like a music festival, like a little mini music festival, and they look pretty dope. I know I met one of the people that's a part of the team. If you've seen the interview I did with Top, the Black magazine owner, she was the light skinned girl that was walking by in the background. Yeah, this is her thing. Check her out. Check out Feel Good RVA. If you're in the area, sign up to be part of them. Get a network. Chef Derica or Chef Derica, I think it's Derica. Chef Derica is a private chef and caterer in Dallas, Texas. She gets creative in the kitchen. She just made a soul food charcuterie board. Her food looks like a great combination of fine dining and home cooking that is Lex love to see. Like soul food charcuterie board. I'm gonna fumble every time I actually say it. So charcuterie board. Yeah, like it looked good. And I've been seeing a lot of Negro influence things. I've seen a gumbo pot pie recently. Chef Derica, if you can make one of those, let me know. I need to take a trip to Texas because a lot of these food spots I put on the shows from Texas. So I need to go link up with Smurf and them out there in the area too. And we can all, Izzy, Fred, D, because I feel bad if I leave somebody out. Link up with them and yeah, go hit up Chef Derica in Dallas and get us some good food, man. Target to the game is a drinking card game that I'm waiting on making my team play with me. Reducing my alcohol-free lifestyle, I'm going to make my team do with prune juice. Turkey Game just recently dropped an expansion pack with also like a smoker edition for those who prefer the herbal route. It looks like a fun game. Unfortunately, for the dumb stuff, it was like crease your shoe or take a shot, text your ex, we're still together or take a shot. It was like post something, tweet, stuff like that. Whoever can say like the biggest word, if I talk like T.I., whoever can say the biggest word, pours everybody else a shot. So yeah, this is like fun man stuff. We're gonna do it with pro juice. I only got 2 bathrooms, so it's gonna be a wild ride. Yeah, I'm liking the idea of this. That's it for this week. You guys know Black business that you want promoted, hit me up, hit up Smurf, let us know. We'll put it in your hiring segment. Yeah, that's it. Bye. See you guys. Useless. Goodbye now.
Hey everybody, we are back saying our final goodbyes to you all. Want to thank everyone who tuned in tonight to CEPTV Late Night Hype with my guest, Ada Zane Williams. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Absolutely. And give us a recap again on how we can get in touch with you, people who may be in the political arena that want to know how to expand their immigration platform with you, and also people who just want to get the information about the immigration reform that you're developing.
Got you. So if you're running for office or you know someone that's running for office and or you have immigrants that live in your family, definitely reach out to me on smartpathway.org. You can reach us through we have a contact us page where you can send an email. Let me know how we can sort of help, even serve your community. If you're an immigrant and there's other issues that you see that could, you feel like should be brought some attention to with a politician, let us know. We have the politicians with us from a federal level to a state level, so even to a local level. So just let us know what you need. This is the time to do it. It's election season. We'll be voting for another president, even though we just got it in, the campaigning, comes on pretty quick. So now is the time to start developing what you need. So go to my website, smartpathway.org, just sort of become familiar with the information and see how we can just sort of work together. This is the time now to do it.
All right, y'all heard the lady. So make sure you get on this journey with her. She is really going places. So if you want to see something dynamic, you're going to watch this woman create an industry from the ground up. And I'm definitely going to be in the front seat for that. Next episode, September the 23rd, we are going to have our guest, Sira Sadeh. She's a licensed cosmetologist, fashion designer, seamstress, actress, and firearm instructor. I actually met her on the set of Wash Wars. Shout out to Bentley Brandon. And also her beau, Al Blaze, who is an inventor of the My Pack that has been blowing up all around Atlanta and across the nation. It's actually like a backpack that has a TV screen in it where you can have it on and displaying your products. So we're going to get to see that up close and personal. And then we get to see some of the other products like the information tags where you don't have to have a business card. You can just tap somebody's phone and all your information goes to their phone. So I'm excited about that because I love technology, and I hope you all join us next week. And if you would like your song played on our outro, you could also email us, message me. It doesn't matter. But for right now, as we take ourselves out on this outro, you can hear the tunes of Emerald Sky and I Am Mozart with Skydiving. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to CEPTV Late Night Hype. See you guys next time. Have a good night.
You love how I touch you, boy. You love how I put my hands all over your body. You love it when I say your name. So come here and let's fly away. We can fly as high as you like. Let's fly.